Well, morning. It certainly is a privilege to be here, but at the same time, in every sense of the word, it's a privilege to be here because he's here. And, there's only two things really to say that stand out in my mind. The first thing is we have a marquee program called Moby program over here, which is the reason why we could go and pick Craig up and actually do what we needed to do compassionately, along with Mom and the family, but also at the same time, our nurses and Josh Melo and Jared Mosier and Toshi Kazui have been outstanding in terms of running this program with Richard Smith. I think one can't forget what happened on the ice. So Devon and Matt were amazing, and I think that the fire, the Tucson Fire Brigade was phenomenally there and in action, and I think that the Southwest Ambulance too was quite amazing in terms of how fast everything happened. And the two nurses on that night, Janelle and Chris, who are here today, I think humbled me by just making things happen. And that was really cool, because then Matt McReynolds and I could just run and go and get Craig. And I think that whole thing, walking on literally as George and Reza created a red carpet for us to walk into the ICU, we were able to really put Craig on fairly quickly and get him off a lot of the blood pressure medication and bring him home to where we are. And that didn't take long, and we had such wonderful administrative support. It was so smooth. And we have multidisciplinary teams here. The second thing that stands out in my mind as to why I think we are the providers for the community is that we can provide really a safe level of technology to things that sometimes don't work, or we can push the envelope. And one of the things that we did was, Craig was one of the first few, where we decided to ultrasound his heart, and his heart really wasn't beating the first 2 days. And if you remember, we looked at the echoes together with you and Serena, and it was really tough. We didn't know where we were going to go, but one thing that was clear was that we had to decompress his heart. And I think doing that with this cannula over here, and using it in a novel way to fully decompress his heart, to allow function to happen. His heart started literally soon after we did that, and was only in for 5 days. And his heart's had full recovery. So the key message in the take-home there is recovery and heart recovery, and what we can do with the tools in our toolkit. And we've got a lot of tools here, as you know, from many of the stories you've written and reported in the past. So I can only say that if it wasn't for Craig and his colleagues who are here supporting all of this, and really the multidisciplinary people that are over here, it really means a lot. And I just wanted to say thank you, and that it was a privilege, and I'll never forget that.
We know that Craig went into cardiac arrest. Do we know why?
Well, he went into ventricular fibrillation, which caused his heart to stop, and the CPR needed to commence. So there's a lot of reasons for it. We still don't know, and what we're doing is we're band-aiding that by trying to investigate further, and it's going to take a little while for us to get down to this, but together we're going to work on trying to make sure that we do that, but we're also going to treat him with having a defibrillator.
Hello, thank you all for being here. I'm Dr. Reza Movahed, Regional Cardiology Director of CareMore, Professor of Medicine at the University of Arizona, and attending cardiologist at St. Mary's Hospital. Today is a very special day to stand next to Craig Cunningham, who survived a terrifying incident before the Roadrunners hockey game, a night that we will all remember. That night when he collapsed, the first responders on scene jumped in and immediately started chest compression-only CPR before he arrived at the St. Mary's Hospital emergency room. His condition at that time was very critical, and he was fighting intensely for his life. The dedicated team at St. Mary's Hospital emergency room, including Dr. Campbell, the attending physician in the ER, continued life-saving measures to the fullest extent possible. When I arrived, we immediately took him to the cardiac catheterization lab at the Carondelet Heart and Vascular Institute at St. Mary's Hospital, with the assistance of our pulmonologist, Dr. Teuber, and our hospitalist, Dr. Halaftis. We worked tirelessly to attempt to stabilize his vital signs and oxygenation, but his condition continued to decline. In order to save his life, we determined to put him on an external heart and lung machine called ECMO. At that time, I reached out to my great friend and cardiothoracic surgeon at Banner, Dr. Khalpey, and requested his assistant at the hospital and that he bring the life-saving equipment with him. He engaged his team immediately. Both leadership teams at St. Mary's Hospital and Banner University Medical Center worked together diligently to coordinate logistics. At the same time, the team on the ground at St. Mary's, including physicians, nursing, staff, cath lab personnel, and pharmacy department, did an equally wonderful job providing Craig with all means to keep him alive until the life-saving ECMO machine arrived. This coordination between teams helped to ensure that Dr. Khalpey and his team arrived just on time and stabilized him enough to be transferred to Banner University Medical Center for continuing care. At the Banner UMC, the great teamwork continued providing extraordinary care, ultimately saving his life and supporting his recovery so that he can walk out of this hospital. This case elaborates first the great effectiveness of chest compression-only CPR that advocated for at the University of Arizona as the first-line therapy for witness cardiac arrest victims. It also exemplifies the great teamwork and collaboration across community hospitals and physicians that allowed for extraordinary care and life-saving measures to allow Craig to recover and work his way back to the ice. This collegiality and collaboration between groups should be a model across the city and the country. I cannot thank enough all of the associates, personnel, and physicians at both St. Mary's Hospital and Banner University Medical Center for the great care they provided not only to Craig, but their ongoing commitment to the health of our community. On behalf of Caremore and St. Mary's Hospital, I wish Craig all the best in his continued recovery and look forward to seeing him back on the ice soon. Thank you very much for your time.